Welcome to New York City, the tourist capital of the world. Plenty to do and plenty to see in the city that doesn't sleep. And no matter how much energy you spend traveling this great city, you have a food stand or a restaurant practically on every other block with an assortment of selections. What the city is short on are restrooms for its inhabitants and guests when nature calls. That is what we hope to solve with this video. There are bathrooms to use where you don't have to sit down and order a meal. We'll also tell you of the small shops in case you are thirsty or hungry and want to refill again after you empty out your tank. We'll start at Times Square, where most tourists stop at least once on their visits. The south point of Times Square is 42nd Street. Looking north, the north point of Times Square is 47th Street. Times Square is Broadway and 7th Avenue crossing each other. To our right is 7th Avenue, which ends at Central Park and 59th Street. Running to our left is Broadway, which runs into Columbus Circle at the south end of the park. Facing south, because the roads cross the same thing, 7th Avenue to our right and Broadway to our left. The first stop, and one that has a timing window, is the Marriott Marquis, located between 47th and 46th Street. The restrooms are on the mezzanine level, which are easily accessible from the escalators just inside the revolving doors of the hotel. Once you've reached the top, make a right and the restrooms are located in the back corner. Across the street from the Marriott is the Disney Store. You can access the Disney Store restrooms by going up to the second floor and walking back to the store. Forever 21 has restrooms, but you have to ask for a key to get access to them. On the same side of the Marriott is Junior's Restaurant. When you enter Junior's, follow the counter to the back of the restaurant and you will see a sign leading you in the right direction. One block west from Times Square to 8th Avenue and 44th Street, you'll see a Shake Shack. Every Shake Shack has a restroom, but you'll need a code to enter. The good thing about Shake Shacks being so busy is that if there is a line for the restrooms, you don't need a code. Just wait for the current occupant to exit. If you travel south on 8th Avenue, you will see a large building that is the bus terminal, Port Authority. The easiest way to get into the restrooms of the Port Authority is to enter the building on 8th Avenue between 41st and 40th Street. Walk straight to the back. When you see the steps on your left, walk up. The ticket booths will be on your left and the restrooms will be straight in front of you. Across the street from Port Authority on 8th Avenue is Dean and DeLuca. It's a food and drink place, but it's so busy that no one will notice you when you walk back to use their facilities. Traveling east from Times Square on 46th Street, there is a Barnes & Noble on 5th Avenue. Barnes & Nobles not only fulfill one's desire to read, but they're also a beacon of relief with anyone with a full bladder. This Barnes & Noble's bathroom is located on the second floor. Farther north, east of Times Square, between 6th and 5th Avenue, is Rockefeller Center. There are restrooms in the shopping area one floor down. If you walk a block east on 50th Street, you will come to the back of Rockefeller Center. Across from the Bouchon Bakery, between 50th Street and 40th on Rockefeller Plaza, is the entrance to reach the restrooms below Rockefeller Center. Just walk straight after the stairs, you'll come to the men's room first. Continue walking straight, and when you walk out of the hallway, you'll see the women's room. Traveling south on 6th Avenue, which is east of Times Square, and coming to 42nd Street, is Bryant Park. If you take a left towards 5th Avenue, there are restrooms on 42nd Street at the back of Bryant Park and before the library. There is a time limit to these restrooms. They close in the evening, so keep that in mind. Traveling east on 42nd Street, you'll come to Grand Central Station. You can enter Grand Central Station on any side. When you enter, walk to the center of the station. On the east and west walls, there will be steps going down one level to the food court. In the middle of the food court, the restrooms are located. Running through the middle of Grand Central is Park Avenue. One block south of Park Avenue, there is a public space with which to take some pressure off those feet and recuperate. There is a restroom along the back wall as well. If we traveled south on 7th Avenue from Times Square, at 34th Street is Macy's, the Miracle on 34th Street. You can enter at any entrance at Macy's, and there are more than one restroom in the store, but if your sole purpose is to empty out, then head toward the center of the main floor and take the escalator down to the lower level. When you get off the escalator and you want the women's room, you have to make a U-turn and walk to the back of the store. If you want the men's, you continue walking straight to the far end of the store. The men's room in Macy's is located on the 6th Avenue side of the store. South of Macy's and across 34th Street on 6th Avenue is the Manhattan Mall, but we'll come to that later. Across the street from Macy's on 7th Avenue and 34th Street is the entrance to Penn Station. To get to these restrooms, take the escalators down and turn right. When you get to the Long Island Railroad gates, turn left. Just before the escalators and in between the information booth are both restrooms. In the waiting room, behind the information booth, is a good place to recharge your phone if you need it. There are other restrooms in Penn Station. If you're on the east side of the station at 33rd and 8th Avenue, there are restrooms at the bottom of the escalators when you enter. Back to 34th Street and 6th Avenue, otherwise known as Herald Square, is the Manhattan Mall. You will not only find a lot of stores inside, but the restrooms are located on the second floor. Travel south to Broadway, and at 23rd Street you come to the Flatiron Building. Looking south on the right of the Flatiron Building is 5th Avenue, and to the left is Broadway. Looking north from the Flatiron Building, Madison Square Park is on the right, and the superfood store, Italy, is on the left. Entering Italy from the 5th Avenue entrance, walk to the back of the store and make a left toward the 23rd Street doors. You'll see the sign for the restrooms in the middle of the beer aisle, naturally. Traveling west on 23rd Street, or if you went south on 9th Avenue, you will find a quaint French cafe on 9th and 21st Street. They do not have a free access restroom, but there is one in the back if you're stuck in the neighborhood and need to go. But a purchase of a coffee, iced coffee, or another beverage may be in order. Between Park Avenue South and Broadway at 17th Street is the north end of Union Square. On that same block is reliable Barnes & Noble. This Barnes & Noble has several restrooms to use. The south end of Union Square is 14th Street, with Broadway on the east end and University Place on the west end. Walking south on University Place, you'll come to News Bar, a coffee shop. There's a restroom inside, but you'll need a key to enter. But it is another place that offers refreshing coffees, teas, and pastries, and a place to catch your breath if you're yearning for a break as much as a restroom. Moving in the same direction on Broadway, you'll come to Astor Place. If you'll take a left on Astor Place, you'll come to a Starbucks on the corner of Astor and Lafayette Street. I believe most Starbucks, like Shake Shacks, you will need a code to get into their restrooms. The codes are usually on the receipts you receive at the end of your purchase. If you don't want to purchase anything and you find yourself in a delicate situation, then you'll have to rely on ingenuity. Farther south on 9th Avenue, you'll arrive at what is called the Meatpacking District at 14th Street. You're looking south at 14th Street from 15th Street. On the left is La Penquodenne. They have a restroom that a code is not required, which makes things easier. It is also a good place to recharge your phone or laptop if you need to. On the right is the Chelsea Market. In the middle of the market are the restrooms. Downtown, just before Soho, you'll find a restroom close to Houston and Verrick Street, which is the corner for the Red Line 1 train. Half a block east is the movie theater, the Film Forum. You can walk in without buying a ticket or being bothered and stay to your left. Follow the hallway, and in the middle you'll find the men's and ladies' room. Further east on Houston, you'll come to another movie theater a block away from Broadway that you don't have to buy a ticket to use their facilities. The Angelica Film Center has a cafe when you first enter, and past the cafe are the restrooms. There are 2 single-occupancy restrooms, so if you walk in just before the movies are to begin, you may have a wait. South of Manhattan, below City Hall and the Brooklyn Bridge, on Broadway is the Fulton Center, located on the corner of Broadway and Fulton Street. Inside, you'll find the entrance to most of the major subway lines. The Shake Shack on the upper level, coffee shop, restaurants, stores, and restrooms across the court. At the south end of Manhattan, at the end of Broadway, located next to Battery Park, is the Staten Island Ferry Terminal. Walking into the terminal, you'll ride escalators up and find the restrooms on the left side of the waiting room. Going back north, parallel with the Fulton Center, but on the west side of Manhattan, looking over the Hudson River, is the Winter Garden Atrium. The restrooms inside the atrium are located on the south end of the stairs. Let's return back to Times Square. This time we'll move north. Looking north and staying right on 7th Avenue, you'll find Cafe Europa on a corner of 57th and 7th Avenue. Entering, you will have to walk toward the 7th Avenue side of the cafe, and in the middle of the floor will be steps leading down to the basement. They are easily accessible, and the place is busy enough that you don't have to purchase anything unless you want to. From Times Square, if we went left on Broadway, we would come to Columbus Circle, the southwest point of Central Park at 59th Street. At Columbus Circle, across the street from Central Park, is the Time Warner Building. Enter through the front doors and you will see the escalators going up to the second floor. When you arrive on the second floor, turn toward Columbus Circle again. Stay left and you will see the signs for the restrooms. If you continue traveling north on Broadway, you will come to Lincoln Center at 64th Street. At 66th Street, at the Red Line 1 train station, is the building for the Juilliard School of Performing Arts. Inside the atrium, behind the bar, are free public restrooms to use. Across the street from the Juilliard School is a Century 21 store. They have restrooms, but you'll need a key to get in. Continuing north to the Museum of Natural History, there is a Shake Shack on the corner of 77th Street and Columbus Avenue. Again, you will need a code to enter, which you'll receive on your receipt, but they are busy enough that if you wait in line, you can enter when the occupants exit in the single occupancy bathrooms. Let's go back to Midtown and take a look at the east side. At 53rd Street and Lexington Avenue is the City Core building. You can recognize it from a distance because it looks like this. This is what it looks like when you're standing across the street from it. There used to be several stores within the building that offered restrooms, but now you can find the restrooms at the public area inside the ground floor of the building. Walking past the water fountain and the train station, enter through the glass doors. Continue straight down the hallway. You could probably follow the music since they have a piano player entertaining the crowds. Moving north, an interesting stop which may not be available for some time at 56th Street and 5th Avenue is the Trump Tower. This used to be an easy stop, but now, with current events, be aware that bags will be checked. That's the least of the inconveniences as of this posting. When you enter, go to the escalators and take them down. Take a left and follow the hallway to the end. Traveling north on 5th Avenue, you'll arrive at Central Park on 59th Street. At 64th Street and 5th Avenue is the entrance to the Central Park Zoo and a restroom location. Enter the park and make a left to go around the building. When you turn right at the corner of the building, you will see a door looking as though it leads to administrative offices. It does, but it also leads to the public restrooms. Continuing north on 5th Avenue, when you arrive at 72nd Street, enter the park again. You will see a path going north that will lead to a pond. In the center of the pond, on the east side, between the pond and 5th Avenue, sits a building housing a snack bar, and on either side, restrooms, north and south. Women's on the south end, men's on the north end. Just keep in mind that they may not be open during the cold season. When getting to 86th Street, turn right, going east. Between Lexington and 3rd Avenue is another Barnes & Noble, and next to that, another Shake Shack. To get back to Times Square or Grand Central, you have the train station for the Green Line right on the corner.